Okay, in this video, it's going to be 10 wins in Mythic with Simic Mutate. I decided to play Simic Mutate in Mythic. Here's the deck list. I'm just going to get into it. I've played this deck before a lot. I used to play it a lot. I got to Mythic like 2 or 3 times just playing this deck. And it's never been popular. Maybe that's why I like it, because no one plays it. And this is my own version of it. I mean, every deck I make is my own version. But yeah, I actually think it's still pretty good. One card you could probably play is the Lotus Cobra, but I'm playing Florahedrons because I just think they're better. Maybe they're not, but if you want to make your own version, you can just throw in Lotus Cobra, and then you might as well throw in some Fabled Passage. Anyway, so yeah, I don't really care about my Mythic rank, but I thought that this deck would be able to win games in Mythic anyway. The reason I stopped playing it, I've probably mentioned before, but when Omnath from Zendikar was a thing, I couldn't beat it with this deck. Couldn't really beat Omnath with anything until they just had to ban it, really, because I sure wasn't going to play it myself. Because I found that deck pretty annoying. So yeah, it was nice for the opponent to give me some time to talk. Then took a long time to show up. I'll get the score going. And again, we can see the rope. So Gruul Adventures, or just maybe you just call this Gruul. Maybe this is just the same Gruul list everyone's playing. I think it is. But here's the cool thing you can do with Mutate. So turn 3, I get to mutate a Greathorn, and I get to mutate an Octopus, get 2 more lands, and draw a card. Also get the sifting from or looting, whatever you want to call it, from the Polywog Symbiote whenever you play Mutate stuff. So yeah, I am going to count all these wins, even though, I mean, maybe that's the only one where the opponent was just roping. But they were there. They did show up. So I drew only blue lands for a long time here. Maybe if I was able to keep that symbiote and they didn't have exactly Primal Might, maybe I would have had a much easier time getting green mana. But yeah, I didn't want to just use the Sea Dasher onto the baby Godzilla or the Polywog Symbiote. All these cards have 2 names. It's confusing. But yeah, I didn't want to do that because now when I do mutate the Sea Dasher, I get to bounce one of their creatures. The other reason was if they just killed it, that's just a huge waste of 2 creatures. So here, yeah, I'm just going to draw a card, bounce all their stuff back to their hand. It is kind of risky bouncing the Bone Crusher in case they have another one, but at the moment they only have 1 red mana anyway. So they would need another Bone Crusher and another red land. There's a red land, but I don't think they have double Bone Crusher, luckily. So yeah, the good thing about this is if you're playing against the creature deck, maybe, and you get a Shore Shark, you can just keep on bouncing their creatures every turn. So yeah, finally I get a green land, but it's a tap land. I just made this attack anyway. I do have the replacement baby Godzilla. I think I was kind of scared of an Embercleave, but I do have 2 Gem Razors. The problem with Gem Razor is I only had 1 green mana though, so I couldn't even mutate it. Here I decided to keep the... I think that was a mistake though. I knew the scry would probably be useful. So I decided to keep the scry land, but I hit exactly an untapped green land from the Starex, and that would have allowed me to then play Gem Razor. But here I get to play it and I get to kill their henge at the same time and do all the stuff, get more things onto the board, yeah, draw cards, basically doing everything here, getting enough land to do a Shore Shark here. I was thinking about just tapping, I was thinking about a lot of things here. I was thinking about just tapping blue so that I would have more green for the Scavenging Ooze, but I don't think it really matters. I was also thinking about mutating onto a different creature, but why not get a bunch more cards when you're playing against Gruul? So yeah, this is the reason that what are they called? Okay, I'm still counting that. Kind of doesn't count, but I'm counting it. Because otherwise there wouldn't be 10 wins in this video. I didn't want to play extra games just to get the 10 wins. So yeah, I was going to say that the reason why the Florahedron can be better than the that snake, the cobra. If you here it's kind of worse, but if I didn't have any green lands, it gives you green even if you can't play it. So playing against Brubnov here, this does look pretty scary, and maybe I just lose because I don't actually draw what I need. Starex is pretty good. Yeah, this I thought this might be okay, but I think it ended up not being okay. So yeah, I definitely don't want to block here. None of these trades are good. None of these blocks are good for me. I know I go down to 6, which is a problem, but all I wanted to do this turn was mutate the Starex and then mutate the Sea Dasher, but it didn't really work out that way. It was awkward because I had to use the Garenbrig and I had to hit a land to be able to do that, but probably what I was supposed to do was just mutate the Starex onto the Florahedron instead. But you don't know what the top card of your library is. You don't know you're just going to hit another Starex, which is normally a good thing to hit because it's a 6/6 that you just get for free. But yeah, if I hit any untapped land, then it would have been better to make the play that I made. So playing against Gruul here, I don't have a lot going on. Of course they have the Bone Crusher, but at least they have to wait on playing it since they burned my Goose. I think probably that turned out better actually, because I probably would have just gone for the Sea Dasher. Nah, not if they kept up Bone Crusher, Stomp Mana. That's just too risky, I think. But here I can keep bouncing this stuff. I did try to get aggressive in this game. It's a shame that I only have one blue source here. It's kind of a massive problem. I didn't have to attack here. I could have waited till their turn to see what they do. But I decided to try to get aggressive because I do want to try to draw cards with the Sea Dasher Octopus by mutating that. So yeah, still being stuck on blue mana is a problem. So yeah, this guarantees that I can draw with the Sea Dasher Octopus, otherwise they would be able to block with the 1/1 token and I wouldn't have trample. So that's why I went with that play. If they can kill my creature here, it's probably game over. Yep. Yep. So yeah, playing against Naya Adventures here and getting wrecked. Drawing too many land. I finally drew another blue source. That would have been useful like 8 turns ago. But yeah, now they get to just draw all the cards they want and play all their creatures. And basically I'm just looking to try to draw a Starix here. I draw a Castle Vantress. So the Shore Shark maybe can keep me alive for a turn or two. I can't really scry with the castle, I mean, because I need to play the Shore Shark here. Or I just fall too far behind, so they get to attack with like basically everything, and they get to Embercleave. At least they don't have red mana left, so I don't have to worry about them having some sort of... I was kind of worried about a Giant Killer though, which is a reason to put the Shore Shark under the other thing, but they had ECD anyway, so it really didn't matter. And that's just game. They didn't need the ECD, but they drew enough cards that of course they had something. So yeah, I think back to where I started on 93%. Playing against some sort of blue-white control, it looks like. I think I was thinking that the Ooze would be decent in this matchup because... yeah, there was a lot of decisions this turn. I wasn't sure what to do, but if they have Dance of the Manse, the Ooze can exile stuff. I don't even know if they were. They might have just been straight up control and they were just countering everything I tried to do. So yeah, I wanted to keep as many mutated creatures as I could because that's the whole point of the deck, which is why I threw away the Ooze. I also think I needed the land. Even though it's not blue, I'm kind of a little bit stuck on blue. Like, I wish that I could play a Baby Godzilla and then a Shore Shark, and then mutate a Shore Shark, but I just don't have another blue mana. So all I can really do is go for another Gem Razor. They go for another Neutralize, because they're a control deck. But if they're countering all this stuff, that means that they have less counters for my other cards, like Starix. So, drew another Forest. I was pretty sure I want to discard that, right? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, maybe I just played it as a land. Okay. Yeah, it is difficult with the mana. It's like, do I want to activate the Garenbrig? Do I want to... like, how do I want to do this? And I decided what I wanted to do, but the... it was trying to auto-tap me wrong. It was trying to auto-tap me wrong here, and I'm like, come on. Like, this rope is burning, and you're just like... and the auto-tapper wants to leave up Garenbrig just as my one land, and I'm like, no. No thank you, auto-tapper. So I made a mistake here. Obviously, I don't play Ugin very often, and it shows there because I tried to exile a colorless permanent, which does not work like that. So obviously it was incorrect to -0 on the Ugin. It would have been a lot better just to plus it to kill the wall or whatever, or just to hit them in the face. So I wasn't super worried. I don't think unless they have ECD, they can't really deal with Ugin. So yeah, I just go for the big the big ooze here. I have so many creatures in my graveyard. So I think ooze is the card you definitely want in this deck. It gives you something to do with all of your extra mana, and sometimes you just end up with a ton of mana and nothing to really do with it. So just in case I got another ooze, I didn't spend all of my mana here. I don't really need to gain the life anyway. So I'm just like, yeah, I'll just make another food. That's enough exiling. They didn't have any other enchantments in their graveyard. So here, maybe I made a mistake. I don't know. just with what I bounced and what I put the Starix on. You definitely just want to keep mutating on the Starix. I know there's a chance that they just have a Shadow of the Sky or something, and potentially I'm missing out on some damage by not just putting that onto the Baby Godzilla. So here they can bounce the Fae, but they do have to discard too. So it's not just like a free block for them. It is nice though that they get to just prevent all that damage. But yeah, that game's over. I don't think I was going to Ultimate Ugin, but that was an option. I think the Starix does that just by itself. So yeah, I basically keep any... I don't think I mulligan once this whole time. But I keep any hand with just like some cheap creatures that I can mutate onto. It doesn't matter that there's no blue in my hand. It is funny getting all these goose, and then I just went for the Great Horn because I was pretty desperate for blue mana. Even though I could have just played another 2 goose if I wanted to. So I'm playing against like a Rakdos graveyard kind of deck. Can't remember if I played first. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I played second. I do have one more land than them, but I think that's because of the Great Horn. So yeah, I don't have a Polywog Symbiote, so there's no real reason to hold anything. Also, I wasn't expecting them to have like a sweeper. Maybe they could have had Extinction Event, but even then I've got a couple of even and a couple of odd creatures. So this was kind of a mistake, but not a huge one. I didn't really need the extra land then. I just wanted it. But what I could have done was put that Starix onto a goose. I would have got one less free permanent out though, so it definitely wasn't 100% wrong. But it would have got me like 3 more damage. And I would have had a bit more diverse mana cost cards, I think. I don't know. They basically had to, with the Extinction Event, they had to name odd because they had to get rid of that Starix. Otherwise I was just going to ruin them on the turn after. So yeah, I only have 3 lands here, so I was pretty keen on playing these Florahedron as lands, even though I also just want to play them as creatures. You can't just risk playing a Florahedron as a creature and then having them just burn all your creatures to death, and then you're stuck with 2 lands and none of your things that make mana. So I knew that they had a Bone Crusher Giant. I knew it. Why else would they hold up double red? So normally I wouldn't make plays like that. I would just, but it's really good for them if I just play my goose there and then they get to stomp it. So I held back on the goose. Of course they stomped my face, which is what I wanted because I didn't want them killing my goose. So the only way I can get blue mana at the moment is by using a goose. But maybe I just draw a blue land, yep. So kind of fortunate on these draws, kind of. I didn't even use the blue mana here. I just decided I'm just going to play a 6/6. I could have mutated it, but then potentially I just hit a land and then all my creatures are tapped and they get to hit me for a billion. So I definitely wanted to keep the Starix alive so that I could play Great Henge. But they didn't have Embercleave here, which is very important. If they did have Embercleave, I mean, they would have just attacked with everything, right? And then I would have been very scared. But I still could have survived an Embercleave, I think. And I do have 2 Gem Razors in my hand, which could just deal with it. So they killed my goose, but fortunately I did draw a land. And this next turn is probably the best play you'll see the whole video. So get ready for what happens on this turn. So yeah, I didn't mutate a Gem Razor on my turn, and you'll see why. Because they went with this attack. I guess they were going for lethal or something, but it's not actually lethal anyway. But they definitely went all out here. And yeah, I gain life from the henge, and I bounce a creature, I draw a card, I get a 2/4. They deal like 2 damage to me. And I can just bounce all their creatures, and this game's pretty much over at this point. I don't even really need the lands, but I'll do a Great Horn then. So yeah, Temple of Mystery is the only like actual tap land in the deck. What I was planning to do this game was not play the Goose turn 1 and just play a Baby Godzilla on turn 2. But I drew another Goose, so I figured, well, I can play a Goose turn 1 and then a Goose turn 2 anyway. Whether that turned out better or not, I don't know, because they did have the Bone Crusher for the first Goose. Don't really need lands at this point. I kind of just want to draw Mutate creatures and just win with Starix. That was the plan, win with Starix. So yeah, unfortunately the mana was a bit awkward, so I couldn't play the Baby Godzilla before the Starix, because the Starix would cost 4 to mutate. I mean, I could have probably played them both. I could have just played the Starix as a 6/6 without mutating it, I guess. Maybe that was the play. But I was pretty sure they wouldn't have a way to kill the Starix. All they did was play a henge this turn, which I was pretty happy about, given that there's a Gem Razor in my hand. I'm always wanting to use the Garenbrig, but this time I was just like, yeah, I don't really need to. I would rather just probably discard the land in my hand instead of having to discard a card that does something. But yeah, as soon as they saw that I was going to blow up their henge, they didn't want any part of it. So Ugin is one card you don't want to see in your starting hand. Also, I drew 3 of the same card here in Shore Shark, but I guess it was fortunate that I was playing against a creature deck here. Otherwise, Shore Shark would do nothing. But this is kind of like a totally different strategy than you normally do with Simic Mutate. This is definitely a viable strategy though. Just going aggro. Like my whole plan, I knew that I could keep drawing cards and whatnot, but I'm just going to keep on bouncing your creatures and dealing as much damage as I can at the same time. And that was my game plan. So yeah, that's why I didn't double mutate a shark then. Also, it kind of diversifies the threats, so if they kill one of my guys, it doesn't matter too much. But here, I think this is just game. I'm glad that I found the lethal here. I guess I almost missed it. But I was like, hey, I can just kill them, right? I can just bounce every single one of their creatures. I even discarded the Ugin then when I didn't really need to. Just for fun. But yeah, bounce 4 creatures in one turn and hit them for 8. Is what was going to happen then. So yeah, even if you don't really draw the cards that you normally want, but potentially you can just win with the Shore Sharks because those cards are that good. So against mono red here, playing first. This is a smart block, I think. All they had was a shock, and they just decided to use it for some reason. Not the probably not the smartest mono red play you'll see. But I mean, they would have just dealt 1 more damage if they had a shock pre-combat. And here, I know I can see that Shore Octopus and then just Shore Shark next turn. But I wanted to hold on to the Octopus so that I would definitely have a Mutator that I could just keep bouncing the Anax. Even here, what I could have done was bounce both of their creatures and attack them and draw on a card. But I was just like, you know what? I'll just keep on bouncing the most expensive thing. You can keep the Fervent Champion. I was a little... Was I? I was going to say I was a little worried about them having a shock. Kind of, but not really. No, I wasn't. They might have had a shock here, but I was just like, okay, you can make that block. It's always good when you're being aggressive and you're kind of forcing mono red to block, but that was very unexpected. A Storm's Wrath out of a mono red player. Like, it didn't look like big red Ugin or anything. It just, out comes a Storm's Wrath. But I didn't really care because I knew I was just going to play the Starix the next turn. And good luck dealing with that mono red. Is what I was thinking. So yeah, Gemrazer even just kills Starix. They can have a 1/1 that can't block if they really want to. And yeah, they could have had another Storm's Wrath. I guess I didn't really care. That's a good scry. I mean, I didn't have to scry to the bottom, but... But yeah, it would have been nice to draw that card. I didn't need it though. So here's where I make the play I usually make. I think it's, like, I've played this deck enough that I know it's better to have a Baby Godzilla, even though potentially I could have a turn 2, like, mutated Greathorn by playing the Goose on turn 1. There's a chance they just Bone Crush it, like stomp it, and then, I mean, and they had the Bone Crusher, as you can see, so yeah, the fact that Baby Godzilla just dodges the stomp pretty good. So here I knew that, like, originally I was planning, you know, mutate the Greathorn, mutate the Sea Dasher, but I still wouldn't be able to attack into the Bone Crusher. And then they played Terror of the Peaks, and I was very scared. But I did draw the exact card that I needed. Fortunately, I mean, I would have had another draw, and then if I hit any mutated creature, I would have had another draw, so... but yeah, getting the exact card I wanted then, pretty good. Here I can just double... I could have attacked with a Baby Godzilla just for 1 extra damage. It's just 1 damage though, so who cares? Because I'm just going to bounce both of their creatures and draw a couple of cards. I mean, more than a couple of cards if you count the ones from the Polywog Symbiote. And of course, Starix is the card that I want to hold on to. And yeah, you can replay your creatures if you want, but they're just going to get bounced again. And I think they just didn't want to see what was going to happen there. So Alright. This is weird, like, I'm trying to update the score, but I also know that I'm going to need to probably pause the video. There you go. So there's a deck list. I was thinking, like, I like this deck so much that I don't want to share it. But then I figured no one watches these videos anyway, so the worst that could happen is someone could find it somehow who's popular. But yeah, going 10-2, not a bad result. Even going 10-2, I think I only went up like 4% in the Mythic ranks. I went from like 93 to 97, so it's like what do you have to do just to rank up? But anyway, I might... Yeah, I think I'm probably just going to keep playing this in ranked for a little bit. It's nearly the end of the month. I always get sucked into trying to go for top 1200 Mythic. But sometimes just don't make it, and it's like, why did I spend all that time doing that? But yeah, if I can get another good run with this deck, maybe I'll get to a high enough Mythic rank. But yeah, that's the end of this video. 10-2 in Mythic with my old Simic Mutate. It's been my favorite deck for a while, I guess. But I haven't played this deck in like 2 months. So it feels good to be playing it again. And yeah, even without perfect play, still got some decent results. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's Simic Mutate, 10 wins in Mythic. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.